Hello everyone and welcome. Wow, it is 2020, or at least a few days into it now. Wow. But anyway, I'm here to do a new video, but before that I should start with a little bit of an apology. I know I said in my last video that I was going to try to do one or two things before the end of the new year, but as you can see, that obviously did not happen. The thing is, I did actually record a video in the last few weeks of December, but as I got around to actually finally editing the footage, it wasn't really what I wanted it to be, so rather than put out something that I'm not happy with or content with, I just decided to shelve it and just move on with that. So here I am to do a first video of the new year, and yeah, I did just earlier this week. I did go to my 6-month update with my endocrinologist, or at least someone who works with my endocrinologist, which went really well. But I'm not here to talk about that today. I'll save that for another video later once all of the final proceedings and lab tests and everything get done, and I actually have a complete thing to say about that. But today I'm going to talk about my goals for the new year. Now, I am someone who typically does not do New Year's resolutions or anything like that, typically because I'm a person that does not follow through with any of that stuff. But I thought, you know what? I kind of got the ball rolling on some goals and stuff that I'd like to, do into the new future or do into the new year. And I also have a whole bunch of other stuff that I'd like to kick off and do this year, and I thought it would be fun to sit down and share those with you and just kind of do that. So yeah, I've got a notepad right here with a kind of decently rough list of what my goals and plans for 2020 are, and possibly beyond, but who knows. Again, it's only the beginning of the year. Who knows what could possibly happen. So anyway, I'm just going to kick this sucker off and just start going down it. So my first goal for 2020 is continuing my self-expression. Now, this is something that I kicked off late last year, because a big part of, I guess a big part of transition is just slowly, transitioning, not just is a big part of it is just slowly becoming more and more of yourself externally. You're expressing yourself and becoming more of your true genuine self on the outside as much as you are on the inside. I guess emotionally, metaphorically, and I guess to some capacity. I don't know where I'm going with that, but anyway, part of that is the self-expression. So me with with starting hormones and the months after that, I slowly kind of motion more towards expressing myself through not just the changes to my body, but also just with the clothes that I wear, the way I style my hair, the kind of accessories that I have, and such. And I'm trying to slowly motion more and more towards that, to just really expressing myself and how I want to present myself when going outside and just doing things, interacting with people and such. So I've been slowly expanding and building up my wardrobe the last few weeks of December, and it's my goal to do more and more of that throughout the year and just kind of build up my expression. I plan to grow up my hair more. I plan to keep it green because coloring my hair green was kind of something that I did on a whim, but I ended up really liking. So I'm planning to keep it this way for the foreseeable future. But I definitely want to grow up my hair and try some different styles. And I definitely want to kind of just experiment more with clothing and just figure out, like, I already know what kind of preferences and stuff that I like, but I definitely want to broaden my horizons and trying all kinds of new stuff and just figuring and just expanding my expression to just, find out what I'm more comfortable in and just find out what, best reflects me as a person. So I definitely want to do more of that, which kind of ties into my next thing, which isn't so much a goal, like a major goal, but it kind of correlates with this one. Getting my first tattoo. Now, getting a tattoo is something that I've always been kind of back and forth about for years, because on one hand it sounded like a cool idea, but on the other hand it sounded like a little bit dicey. But then I reasoned, screw it, why not? So it's now something that I definitely want to do. Now, I've already figured out what design I would like to get first. I now just need to find a location to do it and then just save up the funds to get it, because unfortunately tattoos are not cheap. And then once I get that, from there, maybe I'll see if I want to get more, or if that'll be just a one and done type thing. But I know that's definitely something that I want to do, because I feel I feel it best reflect, my self-expression and just how I want to express myself individually, and also just, express the things that I'm interested in. Because to me, I find tattoos just like, a great way of just expressing how much of a big old nerd I am. So I thought that would just be a cool thing that I can do later this year. I don't know when, but it's definitely something I would like to do by the end of this year. My next big goal for the year is consistent exercise and healthy eating. now this is another one of those things that's been an on and off again type of thing for me that I've never really been able to fully commit to. But in my defense, last year, aside from, kind of it being a bit of a busy, hectic year with all kinds of shit going on, also starting hormones and going through the first initial changes with, the slow, subtle changes to like my body changing, fat redistribution, and all those things, it definitely put me in a state of physical unease where I was a little bit too weak or uncertain of how the changes would impact me. To the extent that I thought, like, maybe exercising and maybe taking all these steps and precautions are not really going to make a dent or really do anything. But I reason since I'm now closer towards the 6-month mark, I can, when the physical changes are supposed to kick off more, but I feel that this process should not impact or impede, me wanting to do better by myself in terms of my physical well-being. So I'm, while that process is still going on, it's like I want to fully commit to, exercising more consistently and also start eating better in general. For the last 2 weeks, I've already sort of committed to regular exercise. I do a set of exercises that I do at least 3 times a day, and then I try to get on the treadmill as much as I can, at least a couple times a week. And then I'm slowly kind of just experimenting with just different cooking recipes and stuff and such like that to just get a better balance of lean proteins, vegetables, grains, etc. to better health, to create a bit of a better diet for myself. I'm not cutting junk food out. I can't live without that. I still need a little bit of my snacks and a little bit of my comfort food, but I definitely want to motion towards eating more healthy meals, better balanced diets, and just taking a lot of these steps to just not to just better myself, to just, better improve my physical state. Not that I was in bad shape to begin with, but I definitely feel like I can improve and do better, and hopefully that can, better committing to this will help improve me down the road, and who knows where I'll be within the next several months. So, but I know it's definitely something that I want to do, so I'm fully committing to it. My next goal is to put myself out there. Now, last year, I keep bringing back up last year, but last year a lot of shit happened. Last year, being a peculiar year, I've spent a lot of time, very sequestered and just very, cutting myself off from people, generally. It was a weird time for me, starting hormones and still going through the early stages of transition and being busy with all kinds of other stuff. I just felt like I wasn't really present or around or really doing that much last year. I just kind of just phased through the year. I didn't really do anything. I didn't really interact with any friends or family or just do any fun or interesting stuff. I mean, I did a little bit, but nothing too impactful, at least, at least for me. I just felt like I was just kind of a passenger in my own life because I just wasn't doing anything. I just kind of let the days wander by, and I want to turn that around. So, now that I'm a little bit more comfortable in my skin, a little bit more comfortable with myself, a little bit more carefree, a little bit more optimistic, happy, and just more joyous, I definitely want to make an effort to spend more time with friends and family, meeting new people, forging connections, and just going out there and just doing stuff, just doing fun stuff, just trying new things and doing just doing eventful things. Just not like every day needs to be an adventure type of thing. I just want to be able to step foot out the door and just every now and again and just actually do something. I don't want to be cooped up at home and just sitting around doing nothing. I actually want to live life, not to the fullest, but I do actually want to genuinely live life and, do things and be more productive and be more active and not just lounge around the house just letting hours whiz by. I want to have just be a little bit more active in terms of actually, living life, which, I feel like that's not a bad thing. I feel like we all should, kind of should be living, lives like that. But, everyone has their own path. So who am I to say anything about that? That's just kind of what I think upstairs. But that's definitely something that I want to do. My next goal is to finish my backlog of games. Speaking of isolation and sequestering and everything like that, I do have a big backlog of games I need to finish. Now, I'm one of those people that just has like you just build up like this huge this library of stuff that you need to get through, but you just never get around to doing it. I find myself in a constant repetitive state where, yeah, I could make an effort to make a dent in the games, but what about the ones that I can just replay over and over again that I get a lot of mileage out of? Like, oh no, let me just play a couple more hours of this game that I've already put so much time into when I could actually spend time finishing the other ones. Well, I'd like to change that, especially before the big titles I'm looking forward to this year of 2020 get launch. So it's my goal to try to make a dent and finish a lot of those titles. Making the time to actually finish those games before I get occupied and distracted by all the big titles that come out this year, or even some of the games that I bought during the PlayStation Holiday Sale. Which fuck, why did I do that? But that is a goal of mine. And similar to that, another goal of mine is read more books. I do have a small accumulated library of literature sitting on my shelf that I have not even cracked open and made any progress in. So I'd like to change that. I don't read enough as I would like, and I definitely want to change that. I feel like it would not kill me to turn off all the electronics and just sit down and just open up some print, or even just to crack open any ebooks, since I'm motioning towards that for a little bit more convenience. But I just want to do read some actual books and just do that. At least a couple by the end of this year. That would be very fantastic. Another one of my goals, kind of going back more towards my transition stuff, is get the ball rolling on surgery. Now I know I'm not even in my first year, but of taking hormones, which is something that which is a milestone you definitely have to reach before you can start considering these things. But one of the things that did come up that I did kind of discuss with during my follow-up appointment was if I were to start wanting to pursue those options and start looking into those, I can not hypothetically, I could actually start getting the ball rolling within the next few months when I get closer towards the year mark. And I thought, though this is and my reasoning is, it's a very long, extensive process to actually reach that step, to actually start seeing doctors, to start getting consultations, and start actually setting up appointments and surgery dates and everything everything like that. So I thought, rather than just wait for that moment to start getting that process going, I thought, if they told me that I can start setting up getting a referral and start getting all that stuff into motion, I very much like to. Right now, my goal is just getting gender confirmation surgery. I'm not really too focused on any big changes like breast augmentation or face feminization surgery. None of that stuff is really crossing my mind right now. I'm more focused on, the big one. That's what my mind is set on. So, if I could get the wheels turning on that one sometime this year, I don't expect it to happen this year, but if I can definitely get that process going for myself, so I can get it done, next year, early or mid, or just sometime next year, that would be amazing. So I definitely want to get the ball rolling on that if possible. And then last and not least is double down and expand upon content. That's definitely the biggest one for me. I enjoy doing what I do here. I take immense pride and pleasure in providing insightful, informative, and hopefully educational, content regarding, kind of just the whole process of transition, life as a trans woman, and just all of the kind of inner workings and aspects and things that come with that, and an effort to just provide as much informative and as much perspective, insight, and informative educational content as possible. And I strive to continue doing that for just for the foreseeable future, for years to come, so to speak. And part of that is I want to really expand and not only double down on content by doing it more frequently, but I'd like to expand upon it. I'd like to do more than just hormone updates and the occasional life update. I actually want to provide a little bit more insight, a little bit more perspective, a little bit more insight, a little bit more in-depth and insightful stuff that really gets in depth, not just from my perspective, but to hopefully just go a little bit more in depth just with that, just with that process, with the lifestyle, if you will, even though I don't really feel like calling it that. I can't think of a better word for that. Just the life and all the inner workings and everything, and just as much of the thorough minutia as possible, because I feel just the more insight that can be provided, the more of a clearer picture can be provided for those of you watching, whether you're, in similar shoes as me, or you're just curious to learn, to get a little bit more insight, whether you're like an ally of the community, or you have a friend or family member that is trans and such. It's just like, if I can provide anything, that if I feel the more content that I can provide that provides a better, more clear, in-depth picture, that I most certainly want to. So the biggest goal for me of this year is to provide more, I'm stumbling here, is to provide more in-depth content and expand upon what I'm presently doing in an effort to just give you wonderful people watching a more clear, in-depth picture. So that is what I plan to do that is the biggest thing that I plan to focus on this year, as well as other things. So that is my list of goals for 2020. But I am curious. What happens to be your goals or resolutions for 2020? Don't be afraid to share those in the comments. I'd be very curious to kind of read what your goals and expectations are and such and whatnot. Perhaps we can have a discussion about it or whatnot. I don't know. I'm just curious. So I can't think of any other less awkward way to conclude this. So anyway, that is all for now. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.